Here.
Chairwoman, I'm here. Councilwoman Linda Gray, First District. I'm sorry, I couldn't get my mute off.
That's okay. Thank you for attending. So we do have a quorum. Okay, let me just turn my phone down. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. As a friendly reminder, members of the committee should be making the motions and seconding, not the members, not non-members of the committee. Okay, let's get started with today's agenda. As I say, this is Public Works virtual meeting with remote participation. We are going to start with Ordinance 22001. This ordinance is to provide removal of the portion of North Pine Street located between East 6th and East 7th Street from the official map. I do have Councilwoman Hardy on. Is Councilwoman Hardy on? I'm gonna go back through this again. Is Councilwoman Hardy on? I don't see Councilwoman Hardy on. Okay. We give it a few minutes. And while we're waiting for Councilwoman Hardy, if she doesn't get on, we're gonna hold this ordinance until another date right now. How about, who's here to do the presentation for Delaware Department of Transportation regarding the Walnut Street project?
I am. I'm Diane Gunn.
How you doing, Ms. Gunn?
Good, good.
Great. If you would like to proceed, we can get started.
Okay. I do have a presentation. Thank you. Okay, so I'm here to talk about Walnut Street. We're just beginning this project. We had our first public workshop last week. It was a live presentation. It's going to be lasting until March 10th. I'll give you all the information about that at the end of the presentation, but we just wanted to give you an idea of what this project is about and get any comments that you might have on it. Could I have the next slide? So the project team is headed by Matthew Vincent. He's with DelDOT and he's Chief of North Project Development. I am acting as DelDOT's project manager. I work for Century Engineering. And Matt Gowdy, he is with RK&K and he is the lead designer on the project. We are partnering with the City of Wilmington, Wilmapco, and also DART. Can I have the next slide? So the project limits are from where the Wilmington Transit Center left off down around 2nd Street. And it's going to go all the way to the north up to 16th Street. So there's really 3 different segments to the roadway. You have more of the business district from 4th Street to 8th Street. And then there's a transition area between 8th and 12th. And then you have the residential area on the north end. So the goals of the project are to integrate bicycle connectivity according to Wilmington's comp plan and the bike plan, and also to try and reconnect the east side neighborhoods to the central business district. And we've heard a lot of complaints about speeding through this area. So we're looking at reducing the width of travel lanes and also reconfiguring the lanes so that it creates a more attractive, usable corridor for all modes of travel. Could I have the next slide, please? So as a starting point, we went to the city's bike plan and also to the comp plan. So in the upper right, you'll see this is from the bike plan, and you'll see that it calls for reconfiguring Walnut Street, and there is a bike lane there that is buffered. Could I have the next slide? So we're looking at, from those different plans, we're getting some tools that we're going to try and use on this project. So one of them is the bicycle connectivity. And when we talk about bicycle lanes, there's a lot of different kinds of bicycle lanes. You have in the lower left corner, there's protected bicycle lanes. And that picture shows the bicycle lane is differentiated from the sidewalk. They're in definite areas and they're clearly marked. The bike lane is also protected from the travel lane. You'll see in this particular example, there's a concrete median and then the cars are parked there, and that provides a nice buffer for the bicycles. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the buffered bicycle lane. It's just a painted bicycle lane. There is a small buffer area that's painted on the roadway. There's also shared use lanes. That's in the middle. That's really, you're sharing the road with cars. That's typically on less traveled roadways. Sometimes you see right side bicycle lanes, kind of similar to that buffered bicycle lane, but there's no painted buffer between the vehicles and the bike lane. And then in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see cycle tracks, and they're typically two-way. They are buffered and gives more safety to the bicyclist. Could I have the next slide? Another idea we're looking at is what's called a floating bus stop. And in the bottom left, you'll see a picture of what that could look like on Walnut Street. It's right at the 5th Street stop. That's a really heavily used bus stop. And this allows the buses to stop curbside along that island. And because they're getting lining themselves up right against that curb, it can limit the amount of time that they have to stop there. So it reduces the congestion and delay. And then you'll see that the bicycles are, they're buffered from the vehicles. They're going behind that, that bus stop, and that bike lane can be either raised up to the sidewalk or it can be depressed down and then pedestrian curbs on either side. So this provides more access on the sidewalks because you no longer have the bus stop on the sidewalk. It's out on that island. And then the island provides more room to put things like benches and shelters and real-time signs on the bus shelters. Could I have the next slide? Another idea, and this was something that the Public Works Department really would like to see, is more green stormwater management. So on the left, you'll see a picture that was taken on Delaware Avenue at North Lincoln Street. And you'll see that, that garden serves two purposes. It helps to infiltrate the rainwater in, and it also filters out the sediments. And then it's still allowed to drain over to those drainage inlets you see kind of to the left. And then on the right side, that's another rain garden that's from State College Borough in Pennsylvania. And this is a rain garden in action. You can see they've put like a little waterfall feature there. And again, it helps to infiltrate that rainwater, and it also helps to filter out the sediments. Could I have the next slide? Okay, this is where we get into some of the concepts and visioning. And, if there's any questions in these next 4 slides, please go ahead and stop me. This is at the 4th Street intersection. You can see in the existing condition, it's a really wide pedestrian crossing. You have that concrete median there. There's a lot of lanes, and it's a little bit hard to tell which lane you need to be in. So in the proposed condition, we're talking about narrowing that section down, lessening the amount of crossing for the pedestrian by putting in some bump outs there. And also you'll notice there's more lanes in the existing configuration. In the future configuration, you'll see that it's only 3 travel lanes get progress through the intersection. And you'll also see the green is the bike lanes. And then you can see where the pink is right around where that bus stop is that has a 72 on it. That would be where that island for the floating bus stop would be, right in that area. And we can look at different ideas about how we could incorporate green infrastructure there. Could I have the next slide? So this is going, you've gone through the 4th Street intersection. This is looking north from 4th to 8th Street. And you can see in that top picture, you have a lot of pavement there, a lot of different lanes. What we're talking about doing is only carrying through 3 travel lanes. You can see that floating bus stop there with a bike lane running behind it. We can look at on-street parking on both sides. In this picture, we're showing some parking on the left side. But we know that we need to make sure that we keep that left turn lane there to allow access into the parking garages. So I think that's it. If there's any questions about this. Okay. Next slide is from 8th Street to 12th Street. Again, lots of pavement. What we're thinking about is carrying through 2 lanes in this area. You could have parking on the right side. We can evaluate whether you want to do parking there permanently or if it's just off-peak parking. And you'll notice the bike lane runs behind the parked car, so that gives a little bit of a buffer for the bicycle lane. And again, we'll have to make sure that we keep that left lane available to get into those parking garages. And we can also evaluate whether any of the bus stops could handle a floating bus island there. Can I have the next slide?
I have a question. Excuse me.
Sure.
Can we go back to the previous slide? Oh, wait here. Okay. My question is, we have when I look at this, during the daytime, we have city employee cars that's parked on the right-hand side. As we all know, it's horrible parking downtown as it is. And I'm just wondering how that would work with all them city employee cars that's parked there. Where would they go? And then, yeah, so that would be, I guess, my question, because everybody's always talking about how they're always getting parking tickets. There's nowhere to park when you come downtown. During the daytime, most of the parking lots are taken up because of just of the employees. So what would you know, we can talk offline about it, but that would just, if you can write that down, that would be one of my concerns. So you can continue with your slide.
Okay, all right. Can I have the next slide? Okay, this is the most northern section, the residential section from 12th to 16th Street. You would carry through through travel lanes. You'd have on-street parking on both sides, and the bicycle lane would be on the right side. In the picture on the bottom, the urban bike project is right there. So we want to make sure that we provide that bike lane, and also looking at bike racks to be placed at different businesses. Some of the residents have expressed that you know, they don't want a lot of bike racks in the residential area, but there are certain businesses that probably could benefit. One of the locations that was brought up was the bus stop down at 5th Street. So can I have the next slide? So this is some of the information. On the right-hand side is the website address for this project. On the website, you'll find a link to a survey. You can also view the February 8th presentation. We have it on YouTube there. And if you don't want to watch the whole YouTube, we also provide the PowerPoint presentation. And we also have a flyer for the Walnut Street project and the ongoing workshop. So if any of you want to download that and send it out to your constituents, that would be great. So the virtual public workshop is running from February 8th to March 10th. We had that live presentation on February 8th. We had 26 attendees. We asked some questions to find out about how people currently use Walnut Street. Most people drove. There were a few that only walk and bike. We did not get a lot of transit users. So if you know transit users, we'd love to hear from them. And what the biggest concerns were with Walnut Street in its current configuration. So there was issues with speeding, accidents, lack of bicycle facilities, just that the corridor is really wide. It just doesn't have a lot of character. And then we gave other people could answer whatever they thought was their biggest concern. And we heard that pedestrian accidents were a big concern. So I think I have one more slide on the timeline. Yeah. Again, the address for the website's up in the top right. So this year is really concept development. We're going to be going out a lot to the public and finding out what people want. You will probably see some survey work starting this year. And then design will be in 2023 and construction would be in 2024. And that would be after the Restore the Corridor project. So I think that's my last slide.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Excellent presentation. First, I'm going to call, she cut the hands up from committee members. So Councilwoman Gray.
Let me go. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very pleased with the bicycle lanes and the things that you're being done with that. And I've been involved in a lot of conversation about different types of bicycle lanes when they were doing Washington Street. They were attempting to do Washington Street. But my concern about the Walnut Street is I really don't like the idea of off-peak parking, because inevitably someone doesn't move. And with all of those garages, it's already difficult to drive Walnut Street during rush hour or during when employees are getting off work, because there's at least 3, if not 4 garages in a 2-block area where people are attempting to come out in the evening. So I don't trust that if you allow off-peak parking, that it will be clear for people to use that lane when they need to. Thank you.
Yeah, we did do a traffic analysis of this corridor, and it can function without that, having that lane. But, you know, it could be used for parking, but it could be a dedicated lane also.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gray. Next, we have Councilwoman Harley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. So, so first, Mrs. Gunn, Diane, how you doing?
Good.
I like the questions and some of the current concerns that are being raised on today. But before I get to that, I do want to say that I did get some feedback from some of the constituents from the February 8th session that you had. And it seems like that although I know that we've been sending out communications to get different residents involved so they can share their input and feedback, it just seems like for whatever reason, people are just now kind of like getting involved and paying attention to what's happening. And so based on the emails that I received, because I had a prior commitment and I could not be at that meeting that you had, a number of people were concerned about, did we get any feedback from some of the other establishments along Walnut Street, like St. Michael's, Bethel
Yes.
AME Church? So you did get feedback from them?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have an advisory committee.
Mhm.
And yes, it was, I'm probably not going to remember every group, but we had Colonial Parking, we had Ezion, Mount Carmel, we had St. Michael's, we had YMCA, we had the Montessori School, Urban Bike Project, Girls Inc. I can get you the full list, but we had a lot of groups from the area. Chase is involved also. So, and another thing too is the workshop's not over. It doesn't end until March 10th. So there's a lot more time for people to comment. And I'm kind of asking for your help too. If you can get the word out to your groups, that would be great. If you can send them the link to the website and the survey, and then they can view the presentations themselves.
Sorry about that. I put my microphone on mute because there was a fire engine truck coming by. So let me be clear. So is the Public Works Committee voting on this legislation tonight to vote it out of committee?
No, it's just a presentation.
Okay, all right. And I apologize because I've been using two phones here trying to make sure, like, is this legislation getting voted out? So this is really great that this is just a presentation.
Mhm.
So I'm very happy about that because I can continue to help to get the word out to make sure that the residents are being heard, as many as possible, Diane, because I think you've been doing a great job in terms of explaining, answering questions. And so what is the next step from here? Madam Chair, do you mind?
No, I can, go ahead, excuse me. Diane, could you answer that question? I normally ask me the questions, but it's okay. Diane, could you ask the question, please? What's the next step from here, please?
Yes. So the next step is that we're after March 10th, we will compile all of the comments, and then we're going to start coming up with ideas and putting things on paper. I mean, right now we have all these renderings, but we want to put things on paper, show people where green stormwater management could be, where floating bus stops could be. And then we would go back again to the advisory committee and also to, some of you are already members, I think, of the advisory committee. If anybody else wants to be, please let me know. And then after that, we would do another round of public workshop.
And they've all been virtual, is that correct?
Yeah, the state of Delaware right now has the COVID restrictions that we're only allowed to do virtual.
And Madam Chair, I just wanted to make one last comment. I did ask if they could do a public, at least one public workshop where people could, come out, we could put flyers. And I mean, we're 5 or 6 months down the road. I really think that for the last workshop, allowing people to be able to visualize and see this, face to face, I think it will be very, very helpful. So Diane, if there's any way possible for the last workshop, we could have it at the Wilmington Public Library. I really do think that we would do our residents justice by allowing them to do that. We can get flyers out, let everybody know about it, and at least we can say we really made a really good faith effort to make sure that people knew what was going on.
Yeah, I think as soon as these restrictions are lifting, we would like to do that also. I kind of miss doing the in-person ones. I do have a good mailing list. I mean, we sent out over 250 letters to residents along Walnut Street. So, we'll continue to do that.
Okay,
So.
Thank you.
Councilman Hardy, I think you Are you done? I'm sorry. And I have misunderstood what your other question was, so you was right. But are you done asking questions?
Yes, for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I wanted to piggyback off for Councilwoman Hardy. I think it's very important because I too, I received several phone calls from the February session, and I too was tied up, wasn't able to make it. And it's one thing to give out the flyers, send out the flyers, Diane, like she said, I think y'all doing a great job with that. But just so we don't have the backlash, it's imperative, I think, that we do hold one public meeting. I have sent the email over, but Diane, I didn't send it to you to request that the Walnut Street residents hold a meeting at Howard, but the public library would be much better. I think we get more of a turnout, and as Councilman Hardy stated, so they will say we held one public meeting, and I think March the 10th is kind of a short notice, just to say we'll be done with this. I know as the public works chair, I don't think we say March the 10th, this is over with. I mean, as far as just having that last meeting held somewhere, I think it's imperative that we do that. Just a lot of people just due to COVID, and the numbers are reducing. So like the governor just took off the mandate for masks. So maybe sometime, soon, we will be able to do something at the library. I think that's very imperative.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you. Councilwoman Cabrera.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I just wanted to say that it was a really good presentation. I was happy to see some of the environmental additions to that, like, having the capturing the rain, the water gardens, those are so important. And the fact that you have that extra level of filtration. So I'm glad to see that we are, taking the bike lanes seriously as more people, we're trying to encourage them to get out. So I just wanted to say that was a really good presentation. I happened upon the committee meeting and I got to catch it. So I just want to say job well done. Definitely in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cabrera. Seeing no more hands from council members, do we have anyone from the public that would like to make a statement? Okay, seeing no hands from the public to make any remarks, we go back to the agenda. Thank you, Ms. Dunn, for that presentation. We're going to move on with the agenda.
Councilmember Oliver, my hand is up.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I'm looking down. Okay.
That's okay. I really like the questions that both you and Councilmember Gray had raised, and getting back to your question about the vehicles that are parked on Walnut Street. Did Diane answer that in terms of what's going to happen with those vehicles that are currently parked on Walnut Street now? And will that lane be, and I think that lane will be impacted, yeah.
Well, what she stated was that then we're just, this was just her presentation. Nothing is written in stone. And that's why they're going to continue to have the virtual meeting, so we can email her or talk offline regarding some changes we'd like to have as far as the bike lanes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem. So we're going to move on with the agenda. Thanks again, Ms. Dunn. Next, we have Ordinance 22001, ordinance to approve the removal of the portion of North Pine Street located between East 6th, East 7th Street from the official city map, and the sponsor would be Councilwoman Harley.
So yeah, I can speak to it, but should I render the floor to, is that Commissioner Kelly I see on here?
Yes, it is.
Okay, should I render it over to you first?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Is that okay, Madam Chair?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Chairwoman Oliver. So this ordinance gives the portion of Pine Street between 6th and 7th over to the Christina School District. The school district is here to speak to the project. And basically they own each of the the properties on each side of it, and it's to support their overall vision of redesigning and rebuilding and redoing the Bancroft School. So if you'd like to hear from the Christina School District, they're here to go ahead and answer your questions about the project. But from Public Works' side, it'll provide a very minimal traffic impact, but a very big maximum result with respect to a brand new school and what the community will receive out of it. And so we're going ahead and recommending this portion of Pine Street be vacated.
Commissioner Kelly, I have a question to follow up with you on when you said they own 6th and 7th Street. What side are you what side are you speaking in regards to? Because I received 3 calls today. So what side are you saying they own?
Both sides. So I don't know. Do you have a map to share with us?
Oh no,
I can. It would be the air. We own between Lombard and Pine between 8th and 7th, and we own between Lombard and Pine between 6th and 7th, and we own between Pine and Spruce on 7th and 6th.
But this is a follow-up. So we're just talking about in front of the school. Is that right? In front of, you're just talking about in front of the school, right? Is that correct? On Lumber side. And when you say on Pine Street, the reason why I'm asking is because it's a gentleman who owns a barbershop there who made contact. And I was trying to make sure we weren't talking about his corner. That's what I was regarding. That's where my question is coming from. But we're just talking about the school part. Is that right, Dan?
That is. Good evening. I apologize. I jumped in without introduction. So
Yes.
Good evening, Dan Shelton, Superintendent of the Christina School District. And we truly appreciate you this evening taking up this potential ordinance. And yes, we're talking about, if you're a local, we're talking about the area that is between the Drew building and the playground right now, and parking for Bancroft.
Okay. Then was he contact the gentleman who owns that barber shop? Because he said no one has contacted him regarding this ordinance. He would be right on the corner, so I just thought I'd actually get that out the way.
So if that's to me, as you know, because I think you helped us with one of the distributions, we've been actively engaging the community in public meetings. I'm going to turn it over to Carl here in a second, who I'm sure will list those public meetings. But we've been, and we do, right now we're doing them monthly. So actually there was a meeting last night at the Bancroft site. They're in person and virtual right now to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate. To answer your question directly, but I believe Carl has additional information that he would be happy to share with the committee should they wish.
I'm not going to type your time. I just didn't know if he was on the line, so I just wanted to put it out there. So y'all can continue. I just wanted to put it out there, that's all. So we can continue talking about ordinance 22001.
Councilmember Oliver,
Yes.
my hand is up.
Okay, go ahead, Councilman Harley.
We're talking about the same ordinance right now. Is that correct?
Yes, I was just telling him to proceed. I saw, and I just didn't know if he was on the line, so I just wanted that to go out, but I wasn't trying to hold it up, so I'm just trying to, unless she was saying something else.
Yeah, I was going to answer your question in terms of exactly the areas that you were inquiring about, and Superintendent Dan pretty much, said what I was going to say in terms of those meetings that we've been having for the last 6 months. So if we feel as though the gentleman that owns that barbershop just needs to be made aware of these meetings, that's something that we can definitely do. But as we know, these plans are pretty much the train has left the station in terms of what's happening here. So I'm just saying that we can, make sure that he knows from here on, when we're having meetings, to share some input. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments, but as I stated, I was just mentioning what the gentleman said, and I don't know about the train leaving the station. If it's one or two people who were not notified, I just wanted to mention that out publicly, that was brought to my attention, and that's all it was. So if you would like to continue with Ordinance 22001, and then, let me make a statement since you brought that up. You have people who've been living in them neighborhoods for years, and they have the right to express themselves. And I mean, right, wrong, or different, everybody feels the way they feel. But, I always said I'm the voice for the people. And if somebody, made a phone call on behalf of someone who made a statement, I just thought I'd bring it up. That's all it was. So if we would like to continue with Ordinance 22001, I'm willing to listen. Dan, are you going to speak on behalf of 22001?
So happy to share that this is part of a major project. The governor's office has funded $83 million for a new school to replace the existing Bancroft School. And this would be an essential part of the project in order for us to ensure that we have a safe learning environment for our students and that they're not having to cross Pine Street while they are traveling between classes. And Carl Creenan is here from ABHA, who has a specific presentation, but I just wanted to thank council for their continued support of this project. You guys have done a great job coming to our public meetings and voicing the opinion of the residents. We appreciate that, and we appreciate your consideration this evening. Carl?
Yeah, if it's appropriate, I could share my screen that shows a drawing of the area in question.
No, Carl, I have it in front of me.
Okay.
I just was making a statement because I received a phone call, so we don't have to go there.
I understand. Apologize.
Okay, no
Thank you.
problem. I just wanted to, I told him I would say it, that's all.
Sure. I understand. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, do we have any more questions regarding Ordinance 22001? Okay, if we don't have any questions from our members from the committee or any other members, do we have any questions from anyone from the public? Okay, good. With that being said, with Councilman Harley, you would like to have the last word?
Well, I just want to say to the public that we have been out there helping the district to distribute flyers. We've been sharing the information at civic association meetings, and we've been trying to engage the community as much as possible. And that what we are voting on tonight pretty much, I think, has a lot to do with once the campus is built between 7th, it's between 6th and 7th and Lombard down to Spruce. When you drive up Pine Street, you can turn left or you can turn right. And I believe that one of those streets are going to be a two-way street. So you will be able to go up and down 6th Street. It'll be a two-way street as a result of this legislation tonight. So I just wanted to say, if anyone has any other questions and need any kind of clarity, myself and I'm sure you will be available to explain more. Thank you. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to echo what you said, Councilwoman Harley, that it has been numerous meetings on the east side at Bancroft. I did also hand out some of them flyers. But as I told him, I wasn't down in that particular area, but seems to me a lot of people over there hopefully do know or should be familiar what's going on. And if they're not, wouldn't be because of lack of communication for as lit drop. And with that being said, I'm sorry, this is an ordinance and it's required to be voted out of committee. So is there a motion to move this out of committee?
I make a motion to move it out of committee.
It's been properly moved. I have a second. Thank you. It's been properly moved and second for this to be voted out of committee. All those in favor say yay.
Yay.
Any opposed? Great. Motion carried. Next we have ordinance 22004, ordinance to enact certain parking regulations. Councilwoman Harley.
Oh, and again, I want to defer this over to Commissioner Kelly first, and then I'll have comments afterwards.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone again. So these are your typical traffic regulation cleanups that we do every once in a while. These traffic regulations actually have to do with a particular project that is going on in conjunction with DelDOT and DART near 9th Street and 8th Street. They're improving the bus stops in that area. Diane Gunn is here to speak to it if you have specific questions. But they're adding stops at West 8th and Jefferson, West 9th and West 8th Street and West Street, 9th and Clifford Brown Walk, 8th Street and North Lombard, North Orange and 6th Street. And they're removing some bus stops at other places. So that's why there's a lot of requests to remove some of those bus stop signs. But this is part of a larger project to improve the bus system in our city. So it's a sign that DART is really recognizing that we need to improve the bus services in Wilmington, and we really support and appreciate that. So if you have any specific questions, Diane is here to go ahead and speak to them. But
Thank you.
otherwise, it's pretty standard traffic stuff.
Okay. When you said Clifford Brown Walk, you're talking about what block? Did you say 9th and Clifford Brown? You just said Clifford Brown. I didn't. It's
East 9th and Clifford Brown Walk, yes.
okay, and that is going to be, you said a sign added there?
A bus stop sign, yeah.
A bus stop sign added there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, I just didn't hear which, I just heard sign, I didn't know which. Okay, does anyone have any questions for the commissioner regarding ordinance 22004, the regular parking regulations? And no committee members, no council members. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a statement? Okay, Councilman Harley, finish it up.
Yes, so I don't have it much more to add. I think Commissioner Kelly pretty much summed up the purpose and the intent of the legislation.
Thank you. Okay, this is an ordinance required to be voted out of committee. Is there a motion to move this out of committee? Is there a motion to move this out of committee?
Make a motion to move it out of committee.
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and second All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Both the ordinance have been moved out of committee this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, meeting adjourned. Thank you. Great meeting. Yeah, everyone have a good night.
Good night.
Uh-huh.